Great. Does anybody need introductions? We got Josh, Al, Alex on the phone, Aman, John, and Lon. So I think everybody's been here before, so we shouldn't need to do introductions. As far as miscellaneous correspondence, I don't have anything from outside. I have something later in the business that, but it's not.
There's 3 renewals coming up for members. Did you get that email, please?
Yeah, but
We can talk that later.
we can do that under other business. I guess it's a regular meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the July 10th, 2024 minutes were sent out. Are there any corrections, additions, or big omissions? No? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve them as drafted.
Okay, second.
Well,
You
someone
can
has to
move it.
make the motion first.
Move it.
So, okay, Gupta, any second?
I'll second if able.
Josh.
And was that Josh?
Josh.
Okay.
Josh here, yeah. I should probably say my name before I say it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, so passed unanimously. Okay. Okay, let's move right along to older business. First item is transit updates. And I actually did get to talk to Philip Johnson. And so let me say a few things, and then Josh, you can fill in anything else that you want to from your WRTD position. Anyway, what Philip told me was that the service changes that have been brewing for quite a while are going to be implemented October 20th. And that includes, combining some of the routes, and they made some of the routes, instead of going to Four Corners, they're going to use Hunting Lodge Road. But that enables them also to run all year on that particular service. There's some changes to the Willie city bus, and some changes at Yukon where they're restoring the green route service, but it's closing at 10:30 instead of midnight, and the orange route also is closing a little earlier. He seems to think that's getting by okay, even with the feedback from Yukon people. He also said they were making progress in hiring some new people, because all transit services have had a problem recruiting drivers or retaining or whatever. But he said he had 6 people in the hiring and training process. And I asked him, just kind of out of the blue, is the service going to go past Four Corners when they finish the big development up there?
New apartments there.
Yeah, and he said that yes, that they would actually be going up to the to that place where the Academy of Dance is, past Four Corners. And they're taking so long to finish those apartments. It might be another year.
Well, it's supposed to be done next summer.
Is that right?
It's gonna be close, I think, because they want to hit the academic year, even though it's not student housing.
Yeah.
It's not a student housing. Well, you can't say that. You can't call anything student housing. That's discrimination. You can, only housing you can build is for seniors. That you can say is seniors, but it's gonna be student housing, we know, but
Yeah.
anybody can live there.
Well, when they first started working on those, there were like bees, but busy bees everywhere. And now when you go by, there's like 2 trucks.
Right.
So they're taking their time, that's for sure. Anyway, Josh, anything else you could think of from WRTD people ought to know about?
No, that pretty much covers it from the service side. I was at their meeting, it was a couple weeks ago, and I had asked Philip pointedly about the complaints that they had received or that had been, aired publicly from university students. And he was sympathetic to their complaints. Like, he definitely didn't brush them off, and it really just boils. He's making an effort to work with the routes that they have in order to better serve them. I think they took away one of the routes or brought it down to like half service so that they could bulk up the principal areas that they were complaining about. But at the end of the day, based on Philip's reports, it's just they don't have enough drivers to service to provide the level of service that the students are expecting. So they're really trying to fill out their ranks, and hopefully that'll help to alleviate the situation. But yeah, it's been very difficult for them to hire drivers. And then, as you know, I mean, they negotiate their contract with UConn yearly. So it's difficult for WRTD to be responsive and raise pay to attract more drivers, because then it ends up sort of causing issues on their side with their balance sheets. So they're doing what they can, and we're aware of it and they're responsive.
Right, thanks. He also said that inflation has cut into them.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, they do negotiations with UConn yearly, but UConn's big, WRTD's small, so I mean, I think that they do a fair job of getting the funding they need, but maybe they'll have some extra ammunition after this year, based on the complaints.
Right. Okay.
Also, Al, are you now the other representative for Mansfield?
I am about to be. I met yesterday with town manager and HR person manager, and they're going to be bringing my name forth to the council, if not this week, coming up, then the meeting after that. So I'm not officially yet, but I'm on my path.
Well, congratulations or condolences, whichever.
Yeah,
I'll let you know
congratulations.
which way.
It's always good to have more people on the committee too.
Right. All right, so the next item of business is complete streets planning and implementation. We did have a meeting with John, and let's see, Alex and Josh, to talk a little bit about maintenance strategies for complete streets. And we came up with a few ideas. I haven't reduced them. John, have you got anything further to say about?
No, we have, like, on the roadside mower, we can put a blower, so if we have leaves on roads, we can look at blowing that off. Of course, it's gonna take a backseat to other higher priority things, and we're not gonna be able to get out there every day and blow leaves off, bike routes and eventually when we have the complete streets passed, but that's something we can do. Right now we're short a few people are out for medical reasons and retirements, so that's
Well,
one thing I saw is something we could do.
we did come up with a few things that could be done. And, when I was getting ready for this meeting, I just didn't have a chance to kind of synthesize our meeting into, like 4 or 5 bullet points. So if we leave that on the agenda, I'll try to do that for the next meeting.
Yeah.
What I was able to do was review complete streets plans that other cities and communities in Connecticut have done. And I brought with me some copies of some of the plans and excerpts from some of the others that I thought might be interested for us to look through. And they're all available electronically. So for people who aren't here or people who want to go through them, I'll just give you an idea of what I found. And maybe we can then send the URLs
Yeah.
as to how to get these out to everybody after the meeting, and you can look them over. The one that I found that was really very complete and on target was Bloomfield's. Bloomfield's complete streets plan, I copied most of it except for the appendices. And it was done by your firm, Josh. And they did a very nice job. So that was one that I
Not
thought
surprised.
worth looking at. And then I looked, the city of Hartford has a good one. It's not quite as applicable because it's a city as opposed to a town. But I pulled a lot of information out of that. And it's also a very good plan. And then today I actually was looking at the city of New Haven, and I pulled out pages from what they call their Complete Streets Design Manual. And we'll put that in also, because it really kind of goes through all kinds of strategies and stuff. And the reason I think these are important is because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can kind of say, all right, a complete streets plan should have this, and this based on what we've already seen from these other ones. And then we can, you know, pilfer some of the stuff that they've already talked about, and then we can look at our situation as well. The thing that popped out on me is that in addition to going through, you know, why you want complete streets and what you could do for them, is they sort of separated each corridor, I guess, or area of town in here's something that can be done in this area. Here's what this area needs, that kind of thing. Even Andover did that pretty nicely in their plan. I didn't copy theirs, but I'll give you the URL for those two. And then there were a couple others. Middletown, Kent Frost did a nice one for them. I just have the table of contents again with the idea that we'd look to see what's in the plan so that our plan can do that. And then Groton doesn't have a plan yet, but they have a place on their website that explains what they're going to do in creating a plan. And it's interesting because that one and a couple others had a really big public information or public participation part of it, so that they'd come up with these ideas like, all right, we might need this in this part of town, we might need this in this part of town. And then they kind of had the public help set the priorities. I thought that was pretty good. If you can get that kind of feedback, you know, you then have something that, you know, everybody owns rather than top down kind of thing. So anyone else want to chime in on complete streets, you're welcome to it. But I do promise to send out the electronic
Links.
references to these.
Yeah,
there
at
was-
least just the list of towns and cities that you took a look at, because I'm sure that they publish them online. But I'd be interested to read the ones that you sampled.
Yeah, I looked at lots of them. Lots of towns have complete streets policies. Not too many have actual plans. And so I tried to look at the actual plans. Now for our complete streets effort, they wanted us to form a complete streets team. Last time we had talked about, should that be part of this committee? Should we recruit somebody else? John, did you get a chance to talk to the committee on committees about how we should handle that?
I talked to the town clerk, and no matter what we do, if it's a subcommittee or a separate, or we could call this committee and add the name Complete Streets to it, call it like tax/Complete Streets Committee. Or create a separate committee. Either way, we gotta go to the council to get, you know, a charter and a mission, things like that. with it, I'm all for doing this. I'm not for doing it for sustainable CT to get 5 points. It's a lot of work just to get 5 points, so we should be doing it because we want to do it.
Right,
So I think
right.
that's more
That's more important.
there.
Yeah.
But because I'm gonna go to a class at the end of the month and I get 5 points for going to that class.
Yeah,
To put together a committee and have meetings and all that is a lot harder than going to a class, and they're both worth 5 points. It makes no sense to me
right, right,
for sustainable CT.
right. Well, having read these complete streets plans, you know, Bloomfield and Hartford and looked through New Haven and seeing what Groton's doing, I really do believe it's a good thing to do.
I agree.
Because it can involve, you know, sort of how to improve all your transportation in your town over the next 10, 20 years.
And then when people say, you should have done this, well, we thought about it, and this is the plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Good, okay, so to synthesize what you said as far as a complete streets team, I thought we came up, there were a couple other people that were interested in participating. So if we just make the TAC the committee, then I don't know how we involve those other people.
It's a public meeting, they're all involved to come, I mean, we can create a separate committee, but I think if we keep it the same, we could expand the membership too. And I think we should not worry what sustainable CT wants and figure out what we want.
Right,
If we get 5 points because we did it, great, but
yeah,
so
right,
whatever, separate or together, it doesn't matter to me, but this group really is kind of charged with complete streets already,
right.
more than any other committee,
Right.
obviously.
Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt if we know, and I'm sorry, I just am busy and don't remember. But if we have other people that wanted to be involved, we could have this committee meet as a special committee and invite them.
Yeah.
I mean, as a special meeting and invite them to participate.
I mean, the ones I remember with the Manvilles. I know they were interested in complete streets, I don't know if they still are, but
Yeah, right, right,
you know, Laurel was on this committee for a while.
yeah. Those names. Well, Josh, Alex, or Al, do you have any thoughts about, you know, expanding the TAC to be working on this or having some other people involved? If we can find other people that are interested. I thought there were a couple others.
Maybe you can have a representative from this committee into a new committee.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of overlap between what we would do and this other potential committee. So I support either renaming ours or just inviting public for those particular meetings personally.
Right,
Yeah, I share Alex's sentiment. I think that we're going to get better engagement if we sort of transition this committee into handling those issues and trying to make a completely separate committee. Because I think that the current members of this committee would be very valuable to have on a complete streets committee. And just from a time standpoint and, you know, getting a quorum might be more difficult for us to attend, you know, extra meetings as opposed to rolling into the business of the TAC. Now, granted, I'm a junior member, so I mean, if we start to get sort of congested with normal TAC issues as well as complete streets, maybe we can revisit it. Is that an option, John? Like, you know, we don't have to like stay the course forever, right?
No, it's whatever, I mean, this is a committee of the council, that complete streets committee, even if we add that to the end of the name, we gotta get a council to approve that. I think as an initial start, combining them is probably a good way, and if we turn out, you know, 20 people come to the meeting and they're interested, maybe only one person on this committee has to go to
Yeah,
the streets committee meeting.
we could spin it off. Yep.
well, so I'm thinking maybe we should schedule a special meeting to go over some of the stuff.
Sure.
And we'll just have a one topic meeting And we'll let people know what's going on, and those that are interested can come. And if it's just us, fine, and if some other people come, that's fine too.
I like that idea.
Is that okay? All right,
Perfect.
we'll do that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I would make a motion to do that.
Okay. Move.
We'll second that motion.
What you mean? Who made that motion?
Alex made it. I
Okay,
seconded
Yep.
Josh.
I'm Josh, okay. All right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Okay,
What will be can we think about a timeline for this?
so for the special meeting, October is pretty well filled up for me, and we need a little time to review these things. So maybe sometime in November.
I think that's a good goal. About maybe a month's time, 5-6 weeks before
Month.
Thanksgiving would be a good goal, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say, when is Thanksgiving? Is that the 28th?
Yeah.
So probably we should shoot for well before that, like, if we're meeting Wednesdays. Let's see. What about the 20th?
Yeah, I will not be here.
You won't be here? Is that,
What about a week before that? What about the 13th?
Oh, that is fine.
okay, that would be the 13th?
Yep, just about a month from now.
Okay. Let's do it then. 13th of November. Okay, and as I said, in the next couple of days, I'll get John the URLs for all these things. I got them, by the way, from the Capital Region of Governments and Lynn Stoddard, who used to be the Director of Sustainability. They both had lists of towns that had done both policies and plans, and I basically just picked off the plans. There's so many policies. I don't think we need to do that. All right, thank you. Let's move on to the bike pedestrian plan. So I got a couple of communications from Mike Stankoff, the environmental planner, saying that there's, one, they'd like to get going on the new policy for mountain bike thing, but two, they're having some problems right now with mountain bikers in Schoolhouse Brook Park building structures on the public trails without permission. And three, our plan, the bike ped plan says we're supposed to be gathering data about trail use. So I don't, I haven't had time to reach out to some of the people that might help us with the forming of a group to look at this stuff. But in the meantime, does anybody have any ideas about how we could gather data about the use of trails on town lands that have to do with both, hikers and walkers and also mountain bikes? And in talking to two of the people who are concerned about the misuse of town trails by, building jumps and things like that on the trails, I was thinking, if we're going to tell them they can't do it there, we maybe should tell them where they can do it. Because they're going to need something. So it came up that there is a new trail that was built, 5 or 10 years ago on the around that lake across from Holiday Hill. What's that property called? It's along Dodd Road, but there's a town property.
I know
there.
what you're talking, I can't think of it.
And there was a trail that was built there by New England NEMBA is their name. And I actually helped them build that a little bit. And so we were thinking,
Is that LaGuardia?
yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was formerly him, but it might be
Yeah.
called something else, yeah. formerly owned by LaGuardia. Anyway, in order to do that, we sort of need to know, as we do in Schoolhouse Park, how many people are using it? What are they using it for? And is it going to be a problem, if it was designated a place for building, letting them do some mountain biking and build structures, and for that matter, other townlands, and there's a half a dozen of them that we should look at to determine how they're being used, who uses them, and is it going to be a problem if mountain bikes were permitted there? So, any ideas on how we, other than, I don't know, are there any students or people that we could say, all right, we need some data on these trails in this area, like
I'm thinking a trail can might be the easiest.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you just
Just
get someone to count the number of users
Yeah.
over the sample period.
It'd be interesting to know what people are doing out there, and we could have maybe a little questionnaire if we could get people to go out, a couple of times a day on different places and say, why are you here? What are you doing? And then, we'd have something to digest to say, well, this is a place that's always hiked on, or this is a place that has lots of bikes or whatever.
Gallup survey.
Huh?
Gallup survey.
Yeah, or horses. Huh? Well, anyway,
I
I don't-
can't imagine a situation where the town would sanction people to build their own structures. So most likely,
I
Yeah,
didn't
it'd be sticky from a legal standpoint, I would think.
You'd say, would the town?
Yeah.
change Building their own structure.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Well, no, but they might also say this is a place you can bike, whereas you can't here. I don't know how you get around that. You almost, if you're gonna let them build structures anywhere, you almost need to have some sort of a,
Waiver.
Yeah, it might be worth having, John, does the town have a legal staff? Or do they keep a attorney on retainer for stuff like this?
Attorney on retainer, but getting an answer, something like that sometimes isn't quick. But
Yeah,
but there is a meeting tomorrow, so if I remember, I can ask that.
the only reason why I think it might be worth at least asking the question is the town does have the skate park at the community center, which is sort of like a similar, I would think, case from a liability standpoint. But, I'm not a lawyer, but at least there is precedent. The town does provide that the skate park, and there's a big placard there that, says the town's indemnified from, injury there. So if there was a way that we could enact the same thing for a mountain bike course, it seems pretty similar from where I'm standing. And I think it might be enough that's worth a question.
No, I agree. I think any good attorney is gonna say sign doesn't, you're still responsible. I don't care what the sign says.
That's true, but I mean, if the skate park went through, maybe this has a pathway.
That's before the current attorney, so hopefully he has access to that information. But
okay, and
Confirm.
then, other places. Yeah. I'm gonna think a little more about this. I'm having a Bike Mansfield meeting tomorrow night, and I'm gonna see if maybe we can get some volunteers who would be willing to go out a few times
that'd be good.
to get, to talk to people that are on the trail, and maybe the people who were complaining to me, who use the trails all the time, maybe we can give them the same form. And when you run into somebody, you write the date, the time, and what they're doing.
Okay.
So we just start to gather some data, so that I really have no idea how many people ride bikes up to, what's the place on Coney Rock? I know some people do, but I don't know how many. Okay,
Kind of on that, not the same, but we're building a complete street on Maple. And the problem to connect Maple and in front of the middle school to Mansfield City Road is Spring Hill Road is so narrow there.
Right, right.
So I've thought of, there's some paths that connect, like there's a path that connects Max Felix to White Oak. I think you can also go from White Oak to,
Nashville City.
what's the other, yeah. But there's another path
Oh,
that
yeah.
connects to the end of
Is that
Fieldstone.
Jonathan or
Fields, yeah, but
Fieldstone?
and looking at in the future, paving that, making a path, so now it's a complete street, so people that live on that side of town can connect to Maple, that now connects to the university loop and all that, but. You know, we walked it 6 months ago or so, there's a big switchback that's not.
Yeah, there's a grade there that's a problem,
Yeah,
right?
that's the big problem.
Yeah,
Like to go to Fieldstone, it's too big of a grade, but to go to Max Felix, there's some switchbacking that can be done, but. It's a future potential project, but I'd like other people to look at it and consider it, because I think. That side of town would be nice, there's a lot of population over there and be able to link them. To Maple without Spring Hill, I don't think we can, Spring Hill Road, I don't think we can do anything good there.
Spring Hill would be like the bike path on, or the multi-use path on North Eagleville, where it has to wind around all the trees.
Yeah, but there's taking a land and the first house on the right, when you're coming from this direction, has that stone wall, which to move that stone wall, you're
Yeah,
talking,
Yeah,
it's very expensive.
yeah, it would be. tough.
Wetlands and just,
Yeah,
so I was trying to look for another solution, because this came way back with Chris, didn't know I had
yeah, so
discussed that at one time.
that connection, and it's funny, because a lot of these complete streets. Plans are actually, what you'd call. Active transportation plans that try to make connections between parts of the city. So that everybody can have access to other parts, so.
And that's what we're missing now in Spring Hill Road, unfortunately, is probably a 300-year-old road based on the curves and how narrow it is, that
Right, right,
and some of the houses are so close, if you took land, you know, you're putting a.
There's symmetry there also on this.
No, not on that section, that's the other section, that's the other
Other
Spring Hill,
section.
this is Spring Hill
Yeah,
between
that's.
Mansfield
school.
City and Clover Mill,
Yeah, that's the school side.
that's,
yeah,
it's very tight there,
yeah, well, that,
and windy and.
and we've talked about that connection before, so. Again, if we can start grabbing some data on use of trails. Some of these things will
Yeah.
pop out of the data.
Yeah.
So, I'll see if, I can get some volunteers from Bike Mansfield or the Parks Advisory people, because they're the trail users. And, if we came up with a questionnaire, a simple questionnaire that people could.
Yeah.
Or just data sheet, counting one way or the other, so
The
they.
QR code that they.
That's what I was thinking. If they have a QR code on their phone and they run into someone and they're just like, hey, if you have a couple minutes, do you mind taking a quick questionnaire? And then they just hold their phone up and the other person can take a picture of the QR code and go to do the survey.
Yeah,
Make it as frictionless as possible,
And even put it at all the parking spots at the.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, just put it up.
all
I
right,
noticed you guys are looks like you're pouring a footing for a new sign at the trailhead of Shelter Falls.
Yeah, there's all new signage going in town. It's contract. That was with Cynthia and branding and all that. So
Okay.
it's not really.
Oh, it's good. The one at my trailhead, the existing sign is like gone, so it's appreciated. I run into probably half a dozen people every quarter that are like, "Where's this Shelter Falls?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's right down there." Yeah, I know. There's not much of a sign right now.
There's none at all. Or-
Yeah, there's the 2 posts, but the board has fallen down.
I'll tell them.
well, that's a good idea, if we could develop
Survey.
a quick questionnaire. And a QR code that got you to that,
Yeah, like
Uh,
a Google Forms thing, or if the city has something else they use, or I mean the town.
Yeah, I'm sure the town has somewhere they can, they can put either on a website or some
Yeah.
other URL to do that. And then we could gather some data.
Some places on the trail, I'm sure the signal may not be very good, so the places where we put the trail, make sure that at least the major signal like AT&T and Verizon, they are there.
Yeah, there may be some parks that won't.
Some
work
parts of the
it-
trail,
won't work at
the
all.
signal may not be there, that will be a waste.
Well, they do have trail counters. Bolton has a bunch of, not a bunch, but they use the ones that the capital region has, which they are willing to let you use. But they just go in one place.
Right.
So if you have one place you need data, fine, you can put a trail counter there. And I think it even can tell you the difference between a bike and a person.
Well, he's
But-
saying the QR, if you put a QR code up and nobody gets a signal on their phone, they're not gonna be able to connect to the web.
Yeah. Well, the other problem is, if you put the QR code on the parking area, somebody that didn't even go in could fill out the,
True.
so.
Well, it should have at various locations so that if person sees 3-4 times as, maybe I should do it. If you just see
Yeah.
it once, I mean, it may just be ignored.
Well, it wouldn't be too tough to put those around in strategic locations, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is gonna take some volunteers
Yeah.
to do that. I don't think you're gonna have your staff out there putting them up.
Probably not.
Okay. Thank you for that. John, updates on the current transportation planning or transportation efforts?
A lot of projects, downtown loop closure is doing a multi-use path from Maple to Separatist and then from Separatist to North Eagleville on Hunting Lodge Road Extension. That's still in design phase. That was a transportation alternative set aside program funded project. We're still in design on Maple Road, which is a complete street, multi-use path, reconstruction of the road from basically 275 all the way to the middle school and past to Clover Mill Road. That was a lot SIP project, local transportation capital improvement program. South Eagleville Road, right out the door here.
But
275,
before
yeah.
you go on to that, somebody asked me the other day if there is going to be a chance for public, i.e. neighbors or
There already has
people
been
users,
one, and there's gonna be another, obviously.
to get a chance to review designs before they're too far along.
We already had initial one, and there'll be another one that, the 30% or so, somewhere around.
All right. And are people who live along there noticed
Oh, yeah, they all.
for that? They
Yeah,
all get
yeah.
notices?
Yeah,
of
they were
it?
all noticed for the first public
Okay.
meeting, they'll be noticed for this.
Okay,
And
All right.
what people need to understand is the project's happening. It's not
yeah,
yes or no, we're not voting on that.
Yeah, we're
We got funded for it, it's happening.
yeah,
Because there's one person that thinks we could use the money to feed kids in
Yeah, or
school. and
do
other stuff.
something else,
And it's
yeah,
like,
right.
that's not, this
It's-
money's
it's-
for Mansfield to build this
right,
project.
it's a
Yeah.
specific grant. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
South Eagleville, out of the Community Challenge Grant from Department of Economic and Community Development. That's putting a boulevard down 275 from basically the intersection up here with 195 down to Maple Road. Putting a multi-use path on the south side, so the current path, it'll be wider. Narrowing the road. Putting RFBs at all the mid-block crossings, having a point of refuge in the middle for pedestrians. That's in design too. We hope to get that completed, and amazingly, that one's the youngest, and that'll probably be built first. 'Cause that has
Which
less of-
street is that again, John?
South Eagle Road, right outside the window.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, they definitely need the RFBs at the mid blocks. I mean, it's too bad. It'd be nice if we didn't even need the mid blocks. I have a small story. I stopped for someone in one of the crossings just the other night, and the car in the oncoming side, I thought I was going to see somebody get hit, but they like stomped on the brakes, stopped just in time, and then had the audacity to like long beep their horn at the person in the crosswalk. It's just like, okay.
People are crazy and that road's crazy. It's
Yeah.
too wide. You can go,
Yep, it is too wide. No, I'm glad that that project's moving forward. You know, it's funny when when I met with whatever the committee that approved my membership for TAC, they asked me specifically about that, and that was one of the treatments that I had proposed for South Eagleville. Is like, yeah, you got a whole lot of real estate there. Just signing isn't going to help. You got to narrow it down. So I'm glad to see that's moving forward.
it's gonna be a good project, and like I said, that we hope that goes out to bid, late winter, so we get to start working on it and complete it next year. Next, we got approved for another lot SIP reconstruction, resurfacing of Separatist Road from 275 up to Hunting Lodge Road extension. This summer, we paved Browns Road from Chapman Drive to Crane Hill Road. Also paved September Road, where those are done except for some driveway aprons and curbing. And on the other side of town, we're doing Hickory, Elizabeth, Brookside, and part of Juniper, and that's still in some of it's complete, both surfaces, and some just have binder and some still have dirt, and that all depends on our contractor getting back in, because they're all very busy trying to wrap up the end of the year. And then we'll get done driveway aprons and curbing there, and topsoil and hydroseed. 5 bridges are getting replaced through federal government and state funding. Atwoodville, Juniper Lane, Gurleyville Road, Old Turnpike, and this one's actually under Coventry, but it's Coventry Road and Depot Road. We had a public meeting on Gurleyville. We're having one on Juniper coming up, and one on Atwoodville after that. And we have funding from Congressman Courtney of $1 million to do a multi-use path from Four Corners up to the top of the hill where the Yukon sign is, roughly the intersection of Moulton Road on the west side, so not on the Moulton Road side. And we expect it to be a $3 million project, so we're hoping to get another $2 million in it.
You're gonna start design.
We've
with
got-
1 million.
If the council approves some extra end of year funds, we have to match that million, so our match is 250. The 250 that we have to match, we're gonna use to design the whole thing.
Great.
Hopefully we get a firm that'll do it for 250 or less.
Well, we had a student project. Can you use that?
No. Can use it as a start, maybe.
Yeah,
The state wouldn't like that. And I think that's all the projects I can think of.
great. All right. Moving right along then. The town budget considerations and recommendations from the active transportation plan, or I mean, from the bike ped plan, included recommending somebody to fill a active transportation coordinator position. I guess my question is, when does the budget process start? How does that get incorporated in drafts? And when would we have to go to staff or council or whatever to try to see that it gets included? How's that work?
Budget usually starts in December. Each department puts together their wish budget. So extra positions, like our new position, you request that. You got to figure out how much it's going to cost and all that. Then it goes through a process where manager reviews it, if the manager keeps it in his budget or not. And then it goes to
Okay.
council for review.
So would it be too early? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Sam Bruder.
I don't mean to interrupt. I can wait if it's
That's
a better
okay.
time,
Look,
but
Sam, Go ahead.
yeah, for this position, if you know, Mr. Carrington, is it an engineer position, or is this just strictly like transportation?
That's a good question. I guess it depends what the committee wants. Is it part-time? Is it full-time? Is it under planning? Is it under public works? I personally would rather have another engineer before this position. But if I could dual hat somebody as active transportation coordinator and engineer, just seeing all the projects I listed there's a lot going on. Even though most of it's being designed outside of the department, still takes people to review plans. So
Yeah.
it's a good question, Sam. I'll leave it to the line and the committee as to what they're thinking.
Well, the biggest thing that this person would do is not so much the engineering, but trying to keep the coordination of active transportation for bikes, pedestrians, and even some just try to keep some of those things moving forward. Because right now we kind of rely just on volunteers to do that kind of stuff. I mean, not that the staff doesn't have that, but given the projects that they have to do, there's no way to kind of coordinate all this stuff. So the idea of an a lot of other communities have active transportation planners. And I thought, yeah, it could start as a part-time position. Whether they're a planner or an engineer, I don't think that really matters.
No.
As long as their job description says, hey, here are the things that the town needs in terms of multi-use or multimodal stuff, and you got to kind of keep tabs on that and move those things forward. So I don't know, other people have thoughts on that?
I mean, I think if with the right candidate, they could wear two hats.
Yeah, I mean,
I definitely agree with I definitely agree with you, Lon, that it'd be great to have somebody whose job duties and responsibilities was solely transportation and coordinating that, because like you said, it's right now more of a volunteer basis. I only asked about the engineer because last budget cycle, the town manager had said if he could have had one more position, if he felt comfortable asking the council for one more new position, it would have been an engineer. And so I'm
Right.
still hoping that's the case, to help with all the projects that are coming on board, and just given the, high cost it costs, and the delays with having to hire outside engineers. But I also leave it up to this committee if they think that, we want to recommend, or if you want to recommend it to be separate from an engineer. I was not at all trying to sway into, trying to hire one person with two hats, whatever you all think is best. But I definitely will be keeping an eye on this during the budget season from the town council perspective.
well, combining forces to get half of what you want sounds like a pretty good idea to me.
Yeah.
If we can get an engineer, if John can get an engineer to help with this project stuff, but he's also charged with coordinating active transportation and keeping track of this stuff and dealing with us and some of the other things. That might be a winner, as you say, if the council,
Yeah, instead of 1.5 positions or 2 positions, they're getting 1 position.
yeah, and as long as the job description and understanding
Right.
was that was going to be, part of that engineer's duties. I have nothing against engineers, as long as, you kind of spell out what you hope they'll be doing. So that's a
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
concept.
I agree with you. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry, this is Alex. Do we need to make a motion this meeting or next meeting to advise the town council?
Well, no, I think it has to come from the departments, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if you have to do a motion, but as a committee of the council, they need to hear from you that you support this position.
Yeah,
So, but I can put the position in. I give you my word, I'll put the position in. So we don't have to do a motion unless you want to do a motion.
Why don't we just say in the minutes, the consensus of the committee was that a shared position that could do project engineering and coordinate active transportation was by consensus was favored by the committee. Is that so? I mean, if someone wants to make a motion to do it formally, fine, but I'd be happy just to put that in the minutes, and then we can kind of point to that as the budget goes forward. Is that okay?
Yeah, I like your idea, Lon.
I'm good with that too.
All right, great. Is there other business? John, you have some other stuff?
There's Alex and Armand. Your memberships expires on November 30th, so do you want to continue on the committee?
November 30th.
November 30th, 2024, and Mike Taylor, your terms will end, so. If you're.
I would be willing to stay on if the committee will have me.
If you find that some reliable person, I'll be happy to retire, but otherwise I'll continue.
Okay,
That's up to the chair. I don't know if there's anybody else that's shown interest.
I don't know. I'll check with people that I know who might be interested.
Who else is?
And Michael Taylor, which I
Taylor?
think he may have to consider it at this time.
He's empty most of the time.
Yeah, he misses a lot of meetings. I know he's interested, but maybe I'll approach him with the idea of, hey, look, you're always welcome. It's a public meeting.
And we'll make sure we'll send it to you.
And we can send you the agendas and the meeting announcements, but since you haven't been here for a while, maybe we ought to try to recruit somebody else.
I think he's been to one meeting in 2 years.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
Michael's great, love Michael, nothing, just if we can get another member on,
Yeah,
that's. And then, like I said, I'm going to this planning complete streets, the Connecticut Safety Academy class on the 30th in South Windsor
For 5
Right.
points.
to get 5 points on sustainable,
Well-
also to learn, but.
take these plans with you.
Well, they may hand them out too.
And say,
Right.
I know about complete streets.
That's all I have.
Okay. So our next meeting, then, we're having a special meeting to talk about complete streets on November 13th.
Did you have something else you wanted to share? You said it. You got
Oh.
this point.
No, I think we did. That was the mountain bike thing.
Oh, okay.
We took care of that. So, but our next regular meeting would be
January.
January,
We missed it. We were supposed to vote on,
for the next meeting.
yeah, so we should vote on that now if we can.
Okay, all right, so let's put that under other business. We'll call this,
I always forget October's the last meeting of the year.
Next.
Technically.
years.
Or I could put it on the special agenda.
Nah, let's make that meeting just,
Okay.
it's not, so. This year we've been meeting on the second Wednesday of the first month of each quarter. Does anybody have a problem with us adopting that for 2025?
No, Wednesdays work for me. It's good.
Okay? If not, could someone make a motion to approve that as, so it'll be the second Wednesday of each
I move
quarter?
the meetings for the next year to be second Wednesday of January, April, July, and October.
Yes, and if any of those fall on a holiday, we'll
They shouldn't.
change that, but. Yeah, Wednesdays don't usually come in the middle of the week, at least that, not when there's when they're
The holidays.
observed.
Anybody second?
Second,
Second.
okay,
No, don't. He's technically not a voting member, but I think he can second.
yeah, no problem, if not. We get some, all right, all those in favor of the meeting schedule, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right, thank you. Good, we took care of that, that was a good catch there, John.
Oh, you caught it. You said something made me think of it.
Yeah, so the next meeting will be the second, can someone look in January and see when, January 8th?
I think I was there, yeah, January.
Okay, that'll be our next meeting. If no other business, I think we're out of here before 7. 6:55. Anybody else got anything to say?
Nope, it's great. As always, you bring some good stuff to the table on
All right, thank you.
We need a motion.
outstanding efficiency, gentlemen.
It's adjourned.
All right, have a good night,
All
everybody.
right, thank you all.
See you in
Bye,
November.
everyone.
Thanks. Good night. Take care.